as things settle down, the new day brings with it, of course, reports of theft, destruction of property at the Archive of Echoes. And we'll jump back to Praescio and Apatura. As Praescio and Caroline, sorry. Finding a small but very comfortable Brightstone tea house that overlooks the lagoon, just slightly east of the Silver Market. Two of you find a small corner table and settle in along with a few of the customers. Given the early hour, they've only just opened up themselves, so you're amongst the various professional workers who are likely heading towards Charter Hall for a day of business. Is there anything you would like to discuss?
Hi, did you get did you might get Trisha?
No,
I'm sure.
I'm going. You start because I'm very bad at small talk.
Sorry. Oh, since you mentioned it earlier, I was going to ask you how you were doing since your sort of kidnapping last time. I didn't really take time to ask you. Are you alright?
I'm right here, so doing great. It was really rough. Like, kidnappings aren't really, comfortable, but rougher than I expected. Got out though, so. What about you?
Yeah,
What have you been up to?
No.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch what you said.
Yeah, Livespark. What did you say? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say it had been several hours sat in a very, very empty and inhospitable environment in something between a storage unit and a small warehouse, likely with several foghounds just sat on crates watching you. No conversation. And just a very, very awkward, uncomfortable few hours until Magritte had sauntered in and told you in no uncertain terms to leave. Of the words, three words that started with you, and the last word was off. I will let you fill in what the middle word might have been.
Hats off.
Yes.
Definitely what they told me. Oh. Yeah. Very strong choice of language in that facility, Caroline.
That didn't beat you or anything. I mean, if they did, I would be more than happy to, I don't know, send Eugene on them. He would be delighted.
No, it's fine. It was just mostly awkward. That was the worst part of it. Like, I was trying to say hi to the people, to the foghounds, and they were just like moving along and, being very unhospitable. And yeah, if I could rate it, it'd be like a 1 out of 5, for Duskfall. Also, how do you do that thing? How do you do that with Eugene? Who's Eugene?
Oh yes, Eugene. You didn't met Eugene, right? It's he's a goat. You know the ones who pulled the carriage. I got in a job recently that did one. So it was a race, and we kept the. I was going to say we kept the goat. No, the Eugene just came to my place and they stayed there. And I like to think that he's guarding the house, you know?
Eugene kept us.
Yes, exactly.
That is very optimistic. To think that he'd stay there, but I love the spirit. Wow, this is some horrible tea.
And as you share in a conversation, Ankh, you are the Physica. You're aware of the Physica standing up, straightening his back, places down his various tools, and well, I've done what I can. I've stopped the bleeding. Anything else will have to be at an expense, I'm afraid. Otherwise, get plenty of rest, maybe stay off the source. Maybe stay away from canals when you've been on it.
I make no promises, but I appreciate the help and keeping all the insides in. As I, whatever, hail my way out of there. And I start stumbling back to the little dingy grotto that we've set up in. Going back to join the chorus.
As you step out into the streets of Charter Hall, there's many a professional giving you something of a wide berth as you make your way down the streets, and to many a curious and judgmental glance in your direction.
On the way back, I look down at... I'm just gonna say that these overalls are basically like inward. They're ruined at this point. They're not doing their function anymore. This was actually I used this as a uniform back when I was a gondolier. I was quite attached to them, but look, they're not worth repairing at this point. And I go to find somewhere to get some basic like trousers and like shirt. I ditch the overalls. It's time to stop living in the past.
Oh, okay. So, would you like to have something of a redesign, or would you like to just find what's available?
I'm not quite sure what he'd look like now, but I am ditching the overalls. I'm not getting new ones. I think it's gonna be... It's just like... It looks like it's too clean for him to wear. He would be very fastidious in this, where it's like a button-up shirt type deal, where it doesn't really fit Dustfall. And doesn't fit him in particular.
Of course it doesn't.
But he's very proud of it. He takes pride. He's not used to sleeves and he likes them.
You can roll them up, you can have them down.
Oh my, so many options. I'd like to think this is the actual conversation with the clothier. But yeah, just
a rather exasperated tailor. I would say just for the shirt, you can do it in the meager money you have in your pocket. despite the tailor kind of insisting. Well, traditionally, sir, it's worn with both a vest and a dress jacket as well.
No. This is fine. I'm going for a casual look, you see.
Well, at this point, just see it's watching a very accomplished haberdasher and menswear fitter just slowly wilt as you see him like look over to another part of the shop which has far more casual attire, and it's very well, sir.
Yeah, no, it's like it doesn't really match because the slacks, they are casual. They're like almost lounge pants, but then he has like this really like official
starched
looking
collar.
Yeah, it's like pristine. But he just keeps on like feeling the sleeves as he walks away from the shop. He's like, oh, so weird. As he starts to head back.
You do. The glances continue out of curiosity now, until the footfall begins to drop away as you leave the main thoroughfares of Brightstone. And returning to that old sanctum grotto that's become so familiar to you as of late. Stepping in seems to be, and just listening at the top of that flight of stairs, you hear the wind drift through, clattering the spirit vein charms together, similarly to the way that was heard not hours before by both Praescio and Caroline. And stepping down further into the depths, you find yourself alone. The mask, the oculus, sits on that old, worn and warped table, and underneath it a note.
What is the note
Praescio,
say?
Caroline? Praescio, Caroline, what did you write?
Be right back. XOXO.
I spent like half a minute trying to figure out if Caroline or Praescio wrote this. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Who is Zozo?
Zozo? What a weird name. Is this some sort of nickname that I haven't heard before? But then as I put the note down, I look at the mask and like my fist clenches for a second, but eventually just let it go. Like I didn't get shot for nothing, so I'm not about to actually do anything to this mask. But it's, I stride over, I grab it like roughly, and I was like, do you even do anything? As I flip it around and place it on my face to look around.
There's a clicking and a whirring, and to an outside observer would see that the gears and surrounding sort of eyepieces begin to turn, and almost arbitrarily, it's not that they're going in a fixed direction, they sort of turn back and forth, counterclockwise, clockwise, and to your perception, the room seems to become more alive as the runes carved into the table seem to project variations of their own form upwards into the air as if cast in light.
curious by this, I observe them closer. I'd studied these runes before when I first arrived at this grotto, and I was taken to that vision.
Yes.
So I'm cautious. I know that these aren't just scribbles, but I can't help but look closer.
They themselves are old to an academic mind would recognize them to be old world Scotland origin. But with more detail, they seem to expand outwards with more embellishments, different accents and dots that signify something more to the way that they've been written previously or carved into the table previously.
Is it like constantly shifting, or does it just kind of add on and then stop?
It's in its entirety in front of you.
Okay, so like more of it was revealed, but it's not shifting around.
It's also in the air above the respect. It's almost like it's being projected upwards, but there's no source of light. It seems to hang above the original, but vertically, and save for the dust motes that you can now make out that hang in the light itself. There's no real movement to them.
Okay, that's the case. I'm still just waiting for them to get back, and there's not a lot to do, so I think I'll try to like write some of it down just to see if I can find someone to translate it later, because I sure don't know what it says.
As you do, you feel those injuries begin to almost burn. You feel your hand seize up as if racked with cramp for the moment, and briefly sort of taking the mask away, looking over yourself. Nothing seems to have changed, but certainly the experience is not a comfortable one.
Okay, will this prevent me from writing it down, or could I make a resolve roll?
It's not going to prevent you, it's just
Okay,
deep breath, knowing what's coming the second time,
got it.
and going through it. And true to your word, Praescio and Caroline, you arrive back. But stepping
Welcome
in,
back, Zozo.
stepping in, as before when it was silent, this time there are voices carried on the air.
Wow. I didn't know the bottom of the canal had such horrible clothes.
I will say that, yeah, walking into the main sanctum as well, you see the figure of Ankh writing, scribbling out something that only he seems to be able to witness. Looking around, he doesn't even seem to see you, but you do notice that he's writing with both hands.
Ankh! Good to see you alive!
Snaps you back.
Okay.
I didn't know you were
I
ambidextrous.
I'm not.
I guess you didn't know either.
As I turn back to both of you, and I take the mask off, and well, at least we know it does something. As I place it back on the table. So, how'd it go for you two? You get back safe?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, we might catch a cold, but that's the worst of it. How are you doing yourself?
What are you wearing?
That's pretty
Even
nice.
the walls were
Sleeves!
gossiping about you. No.
But feel it. It's so soft.
I don't want to feel it, but good for you.
Finish the fabric.
See?
Yes, it's pretty nice.
Don't
Yeah,
Don't see it.
It's not that great. It's honestly just it's so normal, but he's just ecstatic with something that isn't rough leather.
Did your old uniform got all torn out? I'm so sorry.
Oh,
But at least you have sleeves now. That's a new thing.
Yeah, it's getting used to it. Gotta say, maybe hard to believe, but I haven't been shot before, so that was an interesting experience.
oh shit.
Yeah,
Where?
well, I pull up like one of the pant legs, and there's just like a little, I'm guessing just like a scab there on both sides, because it was an actual like puncture, right? But it was towards
went
like the
right.
outside of the leg. Yeah.
It was like it winged you across the back of your calf. Yeah, so it's it will heal, but it's going to take some time and obviously rest. But it's.
And as I show you that, I assume there's probably like a dozen smaller bites from where the fish chewed. And I was like, surprisingly, that wasn't the worst part. The hagfish that came after, they're vicious.
So
do not recommend.
They've got the rather than they don't have the sort of the hooded lantern, not hooded lantern, the sort of hook lantern of an anglerfish, but they've certainly got that jaw with those teeth that means that the mouth doesn't actually fully close. Nasty. So.
You okay?
Anyways. No. What's the next move?
I don't know. What were you just doing?
Oh, just testing out the mask. The table looks different with it on. I was writing down what I saw. Yeah, what does the sketch I drew look like? Because you said it was in the air. Does that mean it was like kind of three-dimensional, or was it just like normal writing?
It was so if you have the table flat like this, the runes were kind of stood up vertically, but they were sort of hanging in the air, a few inches above their respective point of reference.
Did I manage to finish writing it out?
I think so. Yes, given the time you were there.
Yeah, I just hold up the sketch that I'd managed to finish. Yeah, it's weird. As soon as I put on the mask, there was all sorts of symbols that appeared above the table.
This seems more like your thing, Caroline. What does that say?
Not my flavor, spooky.
Yeah.
Let me see. Does the symbols mean anything to me?
The old Scotland. You can recognise them by their form, but you're essentially reading something that is several hundred years out of the common lexicon. Yeah, it's
Latin, isn't it?
It's It's so
ancient.
ironic. If only we had access to a not often used part of an esteemed library, maybe an archive of echoes. I don't know. It's so strange.
Yeah, very.
I mean, we can't go back too soon. I don't think. I'm not sure if they actually saw faces, but might be more prudent to wait.
Yeah, they're dumb, but not that dumb. I think they have stricter stuff going on for a while.
Maybe when you or us or someone in congregation, I think, knows some sort of expert outside of the archives.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a language, not maybe there's someone who studied it.
Yeah. I mean, we are okay. We're part of a cult, and normally a lot of people in a cult like to be like, "Oh yes, I know all this forbidden secrets." Could it be possible that just one of the other acolytes just like, "Oh yeah, no, I took a semester in ancient Scotland."
And someone had to write those runes on the walls. Like they might not have just appeared themselves. They could have, but there's a chance someone just, paying them over.
Mm-hmm.
You could still ask around.
Yeah.
This is an interesting line of inquiry, but we still need to. Okay, so we were getting this masked to help do something, right?
Yes.
What was it again? It was to like disrupt the prevalent church to.
No, that was the last score with the.
That's already done.
So yes, this is believed to what you have experienced. Allow for sight beyond what is perceived.
Oh. Wow.
Okay.
Sight beyond. Where would we find stuff about old Scotland?
I mean, where do we find scholars in Dusk? Well,
Praescio, would your friend know anything about this, or at least know where we could look?
I mean, maybe one of them. Wink, wink, DM.
Yeah, talking about Stalia, an information broker.
Yeah. At least, like, where I can...
Pointing us in the right direction.
Yeah.
Up to you. Would you like to speak to Salia?
Yeah, I'll go pay her a visit.
Yeah, I give Praescio the sketch.
Would anyone else like to go along?
Yeah, we should all come along.
Yeah, I'm fine with going.
Yeah, be acquainted.
Okay, so the usual location, especially for Salia, especially during the day, is once again in Charter Hall. Emerging back into the district, you do see a rather heavy bluecoat presence, especially getting further towards the Archive of Echoes, where the rather contemptuous glances of some towards others identify them as what is colloquially known as the inspectors, those that have not been quite so corrupted by the draw of the usual blue coat thuggery. Thalia herself runs a legitimate front business, and upon stepping inside, it's a fairly standard executive type office. 2 or 3 figures in the sort of formal business wear make their way around, and they look in your general direction, casting an eye over you. One of them, recognizing you, Praescio, gives you a nod, and then goes through a small door to a back office. And a moment later, Salia emerges. And that is where we are now going to jump back to Templar.
How much of the town is left standing, realistically, here?
There is what has started out with a lack of sort of somewhat expected, has turned to concern, leading to consternation, and is now at a loss and in a state of dismay, with searching districts, going place to place, asking passers-by in the street, all for nothing.
I think what Cathal would do at this point is being at this point, I would be going to the precinct that I know Captain Bowmore's in charge of, and filing the reasoning for that is it would be more likely to come across her desk. And while I'm not seeking official leverage, I'm hoping just the fact that she would see my name on the report, realize what the report's about, and there might be a little bit more manpower put in. Nothing officially being out. Just kind of a crossing my fingers and hope this gets more result.
You end up walking in, and it's stepping into the Brightstone precinct, where you are greeted by the duty sergeant. The name badge identifying him as one Sergeant Teal. On filing the report, he goes, when you begin to give a description, you go, "Let me stop you there. Oh, I know exactly where your boy is. He was caught a few hours ago at the silver market. Saying something about needing more."
No elaboration?
He said that he was told that you didn't have what you want. By comparison to others, you didn't have as much, so he took it on himself to try and put his fingers in the old cookie jar, so to speak.
What exactly was he caught lifting? And
He opens a drawer, takes out a wooden box, and snaps it open, and takes out a very, very fine silver watch, pocket watch with a chain.
Cathal kind of chuckles and shakes his head. Kids. So, let me be frank here. Or let me... Oh, you be frank with me. How much trouble is he looking at, and the proceed thus far?
Oh. Originally, far more. And he leans in really close, and I'm fully aware who you're friends with. Eyes on him. I can let it go this once. Don't let it happen again. You talk to him. Sometimes a bit of a parental dressing down is better than any kind of official punishment.
Most assuredly. Just let me talk to him before you officially. Keep him in whatever hold you have him in. A little dose of fear is not a bad thing.
And he kind of nods, opens up the door into the back workings of the precinct. Multiple bluecoats make their way around, most of them in more of an investigative type roles. They're carrying dossiers and pack reams of paper. And he leads you through a series of rooms, down the staircase, into past a large holding cell. So, thought it best to keep him on his own for a bit.
Thank you. And
opens up a door, the hatch in the door, and he goes boom, boom, and just bangs on this big metal door. This tiny little hatch. You can just see through the very bare room with a single bulb that hangs from the ceiling. You can see him sort of sitting in a corner, clearly very bored as he's sort of just drumming on his legs. And as soon as it opens, he looks up. And then, as soon as he sees it's you, face drops.
Cathal kind of sighs and goes, so they got you in the clink. There is a little bit of a humor in his voice, but it very quickly vanishes as Cathal begins to... You know, this is not the way, nor what I exactly...
I thought I could make it better, that we'd have something. And I heard that people, they get things and then they sell them and they have some money. And I thought falls into silence, realizing his case isn't the most legally sound. Let's just say.
That is what some people do. That is not what we do. We are not thieves. Now, I'm gonna give you a choice here. I can see if I can get you out. But there's gonna be some work that I'm going to need you to do. For me to be able to do that. Or... Cathal kind of shrugs. hides his face a little bit because there's a little bit of a smirk on it.
The sergeant who stood to the side of the door is literally like, oh, there's no reason.
You can take your lumps the way everybody else does when they get caught.
Annex says it. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to go to prison. I want to come home. I'll come home, please.
All right.
I do.
I turn to the sergeant. Would it be all right if we take that watch stolen? Well, you can, of course, escort us to make sure it's done. Wouldn't expect anything other. And we return it ourselves, and the boy apologizes profusely. Maybe even offers a little bit of unpaid labor.
You don't need my assistance, you don't need my accompaniment, because, like I say, you know Bowmore, and I'm sure we'll find out if that watch doesn't make it back. And I'm sure Bowmore knows where to find you.
That is also...
By all means. So he takes out an enormous bunch of keys, unlocks the door, creaks open, and as he goes through, as he walks out, says, "Your father's going to take you somewhere. You can make this right. Everyone deserves a second chance. Make sure you don't end up back here. You come here once, that's all right, but again, then there's a problem. Go on, sling it." As he rushes out, nodding profusely. And the two of you, watch in hand, head to the silver market. And at this point, I'm going to say make me a fortune roll. Nothing particularly bad is.
Of course, I get a 1.
It's as he. This is, bear in mind, this is not for you. This is for the other guy. So low is good on fortune rolls usually. So it's he, as your son sort of mumbles an apology, puts the watch very gingerly on the counter again and sort of steps back, avoiding all eye contact. This old watchmaker, this headpiece with all these different lenses on it for different magnifications, sort of snaps them both up, looks at the watch, looks at him. Thank you. And I think... Did he offer to do some... Was that part of it? He was going to offer to do some work in return? Okay. Well, better you make an honest day's work than that of a thief. So yes, you come here tomorrow, first hour, and I'll teach you how to make watches. Fortunately, there's little coin that comes this way at the moment, so we'll need to be unpaid, but maybe one day you'll find yourself at a stall very much like this one, and a little less light-fingered as a result. He looks up at you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not at all. Make an honest man of him yet. And with that, we will call that session here. Thank you, as always, for joining us, and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time for Blades in the Dark.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of Blades in the Dark, What Happens in the Dusk, part of the Domain Gaming, written and told by Livespark and Wyverian. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcome. Until the next chapter, to those without direction, follow the lights in the quiet darkness and listen to the silent whisper.